Hello everybody, my name is Andrew Samuel. I am a National Vice President and National Vice President as a partner with my beautiful wife, the one and only Tamlin Samuel, as many of you know in this group. I wanted to jump on and just really speak to you guys as a husband to my wife, as a partner, I guess, in business, but more as a man in Arbonne, and try to share with you a lot of what I've experienced over the years, in the 7 years I've actually been in this business, more from a mindset or a perception of a supportive partner. And you know what, the reason I wanted to jump on and have this call is because it's coming up in more and more conversations, which for me personally is very, very exciting, because it shares a very clear picture in my mind that people are in activity. People are actually starting to make Arbonne a little bit of a number one priority, that it's actually starting to affect the household. People are actually starting to pay attention. So it's a good thing. Trust me, it's a good thing. But I think for a lot of you, you see Tamlin and myself and just think, wow, you know, that's a perfect partnership. Everything is just perfect. Everything is just, you know, going so great. I wish I could have that in my own household. I wish my partner, whether it's a female, whether you're a guy in the business, but more so for the women, whether it's my husband or my partner or my boyfriend, I wish they could understand what exactly I'm doing, why I'm actually doing this, and what it can actually create. But in order to do that, I thought it'd be really, really good to share with you my journey with Arbonne. Very briefly, before I really hit on some key points, which I want you all to really take on board and consider. It's now the September 19th, which we're coming up to the third week of the month. So guys, you know, this is really a pivotal point in your business as well. This is where you get to decide whether you're actually going to make those goals that you actually declared at the start of the month, whether it is to your team, whether it is to your household, whether you're actually going to make them a reality, or whether you're actually going to sit back and just go, you know what, the stats don't match up. I'm just going to wait now until next month and just have a whole clean, fresh slate. Arbonne doesn't work that way, guys. It's now around this week that you really want to be digging deep and doing those uncomfortable things, those really uncomfortable things. And you know you're doing the right things because they are uncomfortable and they make you sick to the stomach to think about doing them. But on the other side of it, you feel amazing. Are you really going to do it this month? Are you really actually going to strive and push through and jump on board this wave? So a little bit about my background. Many of you would have heard maybe my story in Discover Arbonne's before. But for me, yes, I've been involved in Arbonne now 6 years. My wife has been involved for 7 years. I actually joined about a year after my wife joined. And that was purely because I just loved everything that Tamlin was doing. I loved the influence that Arbonne had on her life and on family and on our own lives. And I wanted to be a part of that. And that was my own personal choice. In no way, shape or form did Tamlin say, you have to join, you have to join, you have to join, which I think some people think is necessary. No, I decided I wanted to. My career at the time when Tamlin joined Arbonne was working for cruise ships. And I was actually deployed from my home in Melbourne. You know, I don't know, every second or third day to jump on a plane, arrive into a new port around Australia somewhere, and then set up the whole port for a cruise ship that was coming into port. And then I would see maybe 1,000 people come off that ship. I'd put them all into coaches and buses. I'd send them on their merry way, and I'd sit at the port, make sure that everything was okay, liaise with the ship. And if there were medical emergencies, I had to sort them out. If the ship arrived late, I had to change times for the tours. There was a lot to do. And then finally, when everyone came back, I had to put them back onto the ship. And then I had to settle payment with the actual Shorex manager of the ship. And then I'd see the ship away. Then I'd have to report the whole thing. And I usually did that in a motel by myself, probably with a glass of wine or a beer. And then I would jump on a plane, all in the meantime, by the way, setting up the next port for another ship from another company. And then I'd jump on a plane and fly to another destination. And it was seeing me away from home, like pretty much all the time. And our son was 6 months old at the time. And that was kind of contractual work I was doing. And I was working also full time, which turned into part time for a while as a concierge in a hotel in Melbourne. Both of those jobs, I just want to point out, for me personally, were quite demoralizing to me and my character and who I was and how I showed up in my family. Coming from a background of chief concierge on board a luxury 6-star cruise ship, doing that for 10 years, it was a very prestigious role, and then going to live in Melbourne with a 6-month-old and doing these sort of jobs which just didn't inspire me, took me away from my family, didn't earn a ridiculously huge amount of money, really just made me feel flat as a pancake. Not to mention the environment that I was in, I would say was quite negative, quite condescending, and it just made me feel flat. So I hope that paints a really good picture of Arbonne then bouncing into our household by my wife, and the sheer excitement. And everyone who knows my wife, Tamlin, she's a very excitable person anyway. So for things to actually excite my wife, and if you can imagine Arbonne first coming into her life, elevate Tamlin's normal excitement to like 10, and you can kind of feel how that would have impacted me. You know, I saw light there. I saw something cool that definitely I was missing in my own personal life. So, you know, backtracking, Tamlin started Arbonne, and for a lot of you, again, you will not know our beginning journey, our story. And it was probably very much like yours. I think a lot of you come into this business are looking at our story and thinking it's been perfect since day one. You know what? Can you imagine a husband who didn't like the work he was doing, who was torn away from home, who didn't feel like he was contributing nearly half the amount of money that he thought he could, and he was surrounded by negative people? Can you imagine what he was like? He wasn't this person that you see now. He was probably coming into the household exhausted, tired, and quite negative. And, you know, to have his wife be jumping all over the place about this thing called Arbonne, not understanding network marketing in the industry, having preconceived ideas handed to me by my parents, living in a household at the time, because we were living with my mum, who was, I will say, not supportive, had very strong opinions about network marketing. All of these sort of things weighing down probably made Tam quite flat as well. And you know what, for the first 6 months, I will say that Tamlin didn't do that much at all with Arbonne, which kind of fueled the story that I had and was walking home with every single day, and it fueled my mum's story of what she was saying, this industry doesn't work. It fueled that, and it made Tamlin quite flat. And it was, you know, a realization that Tamlin had when I actually returned home from work one day. And normally I would come into the house and it would be dinner time. It would be like 6 o'clock when I was home from one of my trips. And many of you have heard this as well, but for those that haven't, I didn't actually come into the house. I parked the car in the driveway. And this is 6 months into Tam's Arbonne business. So she had gone into DM Qual in the first 2 months. She had promoted to district manager. And I believe around this time, it was about Christmas time, she had just promoted out her first district manager, which made her an executive district manager. So things were moving, but incredibly slow, and not really delivering the paycheck that really could sort of impact the way that she had always talked that Arbonne could impact. I didn't see it. Still didn't think it was anything of value. But I didn't actually jump out of that car that day. I actually sat in my car. It was about 6 o'clock in the evening, as I said. And I broke down in tears. I just bawled like a baby in the car. And I didn't want my family to see it. I didn't want my mum to see it. Because I was supposed to be the breadwinner. I was supposed to be the strong person who was going to carry this family through whatever. You know, it was a hard concept for me to even believe that Tamlin had something in her hands which would save the family. So maybe that was also going on in my head. But you know, I kind of broke down, and Tamlin came out with Ethan, who was about 6 months at the time. And that is what she clearly says was a big light bulb for her to actually, you know, what can I actually do to shift this? What can I actually do to help Andrew get out of this very demoralizing role that he's in? How can I actually make an impact to this family? Because remember at the time, Tamlin couldn't dance, and Tamlin was a qualified dancer. That was her career. So she also had that taken away from her, which was hard on her, but she was also feeling like she was quite useless around the household. She wanted to work, but she didn't know where she could actually put that energy or effort. So she was trying to figure out stuff as well. It was in that moment, she believes, and I believe it too, that she realized that Arbonne was that vehicle that was actually going to save us, that was actually going to get us out of this place, out of this negative hole that we were in, get us out of my mum's house, get us started in our life and on track and in the direction that we needed to go. And, you know, from that decision, Tamlin got to work. But from that decision as well, in getting to work, it wasn't like the next month everything happened. It was almost like she started her business then. So even though she joined, I'm looking at stats here, in July of 2012, her realization about what Arbonne was and how it could impact the life didn't really kick in until that December 2012. And then when she had her light bulb after seeing me in the car, you know, everything returned to normal, but Tamlin got to work. She started doing what was expected of her in order to promote through the levels. But she didn't see results from that until probably a further 3 or 4 months later, which we always say in this business, and we probably drill this home to you guys over and over and over again, that you may wake up one morning or 1 month and go, this is it. You may be fueled from a GTC or an AAC and say, this is it. I'm going to rock at this. But then most of you only give it that 1 month, maybe even 1 week, sometimes even 1 day of inspiration, and expect to see the results from that. And it simply isn't the case. From the moment you actually decide, when Arbonne goes from your head to your heart, as we talk about as well, and you actually decide that you're going to make this work, you've got to come to the realization and understanding that it's going to take, you know, 1, 2, 3 months of that consistent work that will then start to show up in your business. So I don't want people to feel really disheartened that, you know what, I gave it everything, but nothing works. And I think the more we can explain this, understand it ourselves, and the more we can actually explain it to our partners, the better. So from there, basically, she was unstoppable in a sense, you know, and in between that gap, she went to GTC. I was still doing my job, guys, and I still wasn't seeing a huge change in pay or anything like that, but her attitude had changed, and the type of work that she was doing with Arbonne was very different. She was out meeting people, she was having conversations, she was constantly engaged in conversations with people and new people and signing people up. Then she went into Area Qual. She also returned from GTC. She saw on stage exactly where she wanted to be. Remember, Tamlin, my wife, is very motivated by being in the spotlight, by being on stage. Some people aren't. I'm not particularly motivated that way, and some of you listening to this right now aren't either. And that's fine. It's whatever fires you up. But GTC did that for her, so it continued to really fuel her own vision. And Tamlin also kept on reminding me and reminding the whole family and the household. It was like her own affirmation about what Arbonne was going to do and where it was actually going to take us. And then finally, when Tamlin promoted to area manager, and then maybe 1 month or 2 months after that, she was a bonus in area manager on track to promote to region, I saw the pay jump. And when I say jump, we're talking about Tamlin's first ever paycheck when she joined, when she really wasn't doing Arbonne, was $4.13 to all of a sudden a bonus in area manager. Her pay was like $6,000. Now at the time, what I was doing for an occupation, because of tax, wasn't paying me an incredible amount of money, very, very common with hospitality. And the job that I had, and I was working part-time hours at the time there at the hotel as a concierge, was really kind of pathetic money. So I very quickly saw that from my wife making that decision, making this work, seeing me in a mess. I'm not saying that you have to see your husband in a state before you're going to get that shift, but I'm using that as an example because it's my story and it's something that you guys need to find within yourself. What is it going to be that's going to drive you? But I saw her work diligently. I saw her create goals. I saw her achieve goals. I saw her then create new goals and achieve new ones. I saw her become a bigger person in life. I saw her show up differently in the household. I saw her passion, her energy, and I was captivated by it. But I will be, like most men, I'll be brutally honest with you. It was the money and seeing the shift and how the income can actually grow that actually caught my attention enough to actually finally, read books like The 4-Year Career, enough to finally listen to an audio, enough to finally attend a DA or this, that, the other. And And I think some of us with our partners or the people that are in our household, we're trying to force feed all of this stuff with them without any proof that things actually really work. And you can't do that. You just simply can't do that. But what you can do, guys, is you can be very clear and speak with conviction about what you want to achieve and what impact it's going to have in a positive sense for the family once you've achieved it, but also what impact it's going to have on the household whilst you're building it. And like any business out there, guys, like even if you're starting a franchise, even if you start in, I don't know what, anything at all, a hair salon, a restaurant, is going to take a concerted amount of time and effort. And how it looks in our type of business in network marketing is generally a 90-day period of intense priority one Arbonne focus for you to shift between the levels. So if you look at that over 4 levels that we have in our business, that would be 1 whole year if you did it intensely. That's why people are promoting in 12 months. The people who are promoting to nation in 6 months, they're just doing more and with more intensity. But if you want to stretch the whole process out over 4 years, just know that at 4 pivotal points in your business, you're going to need to make Arbonne a massive number 1 priority, where you're going to speak to more people, do more activity, and the family and your environment need to understand what impact that's going to have actually on the household. And Tam was very clear with me. It's going to mean that I'm going to have to go to these meetings. It's going to mean that I'm going to have to prioritize being on these trainings. It's going to mean I'm going to be going to AAC because it's going to fuel my vision. I need to be surrounded by inspirational people. All of these sort of things were explained to me. I'm not going to sit here and say I was really happy and over the moon. We didn't have the money at the time to fuel all of these, but I started to understand as that paycheck grew, and especially from area manager, bonus in area manager onwards, I started to see how it was all working. It all started to make sense. It all became worth it to me. And they do say in this business that there are 3 stages of the business. The first stage, where everybody joins as an independent consultant, you will look at the business and say, it's not worth it. And that's what most partners will do as well. It's just not worth it. It's not worth the effort because you don't see the return on your effort until at a later date. Then there's going to be a stage at your business when you're probably a regional vice president or a bonus and area manager, where you're going to be like, you know what? It's worth it. Everything that I'm doing and the sacrifices that I'm making are actually worth it. And then there's going to be the third stage where, fortunately my wife and I, thanks to this incredible team, all of you listening as well, and the new consultants that are coming in that are fueling this, that are getting trained, coached and mentored, have allowed us to live a life of total abundance, where we are looking at this industry and saying, are we really worth this much? This is incredible. I cannot believe it. And that's at the national vice president level and beyond. But I hope I've really helped you understand the importance not only of my story, of my introduction into Arbonne, where I was at in my head, and where I want a lot of you to sit and think about where you're at in your head currently right now, and how your partners are thinking about your business. And this came up in a chat just this morning in another group, and I can't emphasize enough the importance, guys, of just acting with urgency with this business. When you sponsor new people and bring them in, to see them get results as quickly as possible. Don't do what my wife did and sit on Arbonne for 6 months, because you know what? Everybody is watching you, let alone your partner, let alone your husband, let alone your family, but your entire network are waiting for you to succeed in order to get involved. And they will not join until you are successful or you are showing signs of success. And I think if we leave these signs for too long, and if we leave promoting through levels for too long, maybe years on end and years on end, is there really any surprise why you don't have the supports that you want to have from your family, or why your network may be looking at it as, well, that's a nice hobby that you have there, you know what I mean? And guys, that is absolutely fine. There's a place for everybody in Arbonne, in the world, to come into Arbonne and have from Arbonne exactly what they want. whether it's beautiful products, whether it's this, that, the other. But if you do want to promote through the levels and make this a really substantial impact by means of income in your household, you have to get to work, and you have to do it consistently, and you have to act with urgency, because otherwise, if you leave it too long, you're going to deplete from your own self-worth tank, and most importantly, you're just not going to see that support, and you're going to start pissing people off in the family. And I'm really speaking honestly and truthfully here. And to protect this beautiful industry as well, we need to continually show signs of success. We need to be showing people that we're earning trips and we're being recognized for things, that we're receiving gifts, all the things that people don't get in their normal workplace. And I can say to you right now, I built my entire career in the hospitality industry. I worked on cruise ships, I worked in bars, I worked as a maitre d', I worked as a waiter, I worked as bartender, I worked as a cellar master. I've done absolutely everything in the hospitality industry, and I've never in all of my years felt more loved, respected, admired, supported, encouraged, motivated, driven, inspired than I do in this industry. And it's like nothing I've ever experienced in my life. What else did I want to chat about really? I think that kind of wraps up my story, but I hope, for you in this fantastic team, the Better Together Nation, I just hope I've spoken to some of you and maybe help wake you up and given you a little bit more of a reality check of stop sitting in a blame or justification mode as to, I'm not moving ahead because my husband or my partner just doesn't support me or just doesn't. Your husband or your partner in your household will not probably support you in the beginning with this business. I'm just telling you this from the truth. You may have the odd partner here and there that do, and they're really supportive, and that's brilliant. That's great. But most of the people won't, and it's purely because they just don't understand, and they need to see success first. They need to see a change. They need to see you make a goal at a certain date and hit that goal. And when you hit that goal, they're going to build their belief and they're going to build their support. So that is just me speaking from my heart today. I really felt compelled to actually share this with you. I know a lot of the husbands and partners aren't in this group or on this video, but as I am doing with a lot of people, I'm more than happy to help and try to explain my story. Not try. I'd love to help explain my story to any unsupported partners out there in the business, but essentially I hope you've got my message as well, and that is it begins with you. Unless you are willing to have a conversation with them and say, look, by this date this is going to happen, and show some signs of improvement in your business, don't be surprised when they start looking at your business as a side gig or just a hobby that's costing money. Men don't care about products. I still to this day I've not come across many men who care a lot about skincare, cosmetics. Women do. Men care about nutrition, hence why I'm happy to be involved in the business as well. But I am the minority. I'm not the norm. Not every single man. I don't necessarily want you to have a goal in your head that I've joined this business and I want to form a partnership just like Tamlin and Andrew. It's a fantastic goal. It's great, but just get the success down pat and let them make that decision for themselves. I made the decision to join Tamlin's team myself. We made the decision to form a partnership, and that's our story. But I'm not saying that's going to be your story. And if you don't do it that way, it doesn't mean that you're not successful. But I just want you to really just be kind to your partners, be kind to your husbands, and don't be pissed off with them. Don't be upset with them. Instead, use it as your fuel. Find that fuel and put it into the right kind of activity that you need to do. Make sure that you do it over a long enough period of time, and make sure you share with the household why you're doing it consistently. You need to tell them, not just once, but you need to tell them all the time. Maybe it's your kids, why mum has to leave the house, why I have to jump on this call, why I need to do this or the other. You can't just say it once and expect people to get it. You have to say it time and time again, but in saying that, why you're doing it, what it's going to mean for the family when you actually earn this sort of income, when you promote to this level. And finally, I just want to end, guys, and just say that everything that I've said, obviously in relation to husbands and partners, I'm speaking very clearly and truly about the people that have joined your business as well. One of the most beautiful things that Tamlin and I love about being national vice presidents to all of you, not only in the fact that we get to watch and grow with you, but to watch you grow and watch you become bigger people and to bring in awesome people into the mix. But you have a responsibility and we have a responsibility, and the more people that are involved in this business, in our success line in Arbonne, it actually makes that door that we have so firmly shut behind us about ever exiting, it hammers another nail in there in a positive way, so that we can never look to go anywhere else. It holds us accountable to keep showing up bigger, to keep wanting to grow ourselves even more for you guys. And I want you to have that same mindset around every single new person that you bring into the business, whether it's an IC or a PC. Okay, you need to show up big for them, and you need to be very, very clear about what you're wanting to achieve and how they are a part of that. And I think, again, we just don't do that enough. We just expect or assume that people will naturally get that or feel that. It's your job, guys. You are like a parent to a brand new independent consultant in here, and you want to be showering them with as much love as you possibly can, because that's what our culture and that's what our community is all about. But don't just think you can say it once and it will be enough. You need to say it repeatedly. You need to cast your vision repeatedly. You need to show up every single day bigger and better than you were yesterday. And these are really tried and tested truths about this industry and about what you're a part of and who you are. And don't ever lose sight of that, because the minute you lose sight of your own goal and you have people who have already joined your team, all of a sudden you've taken the goal and the dream away from the people who have signed up to you and your vision and where you're going. So really strive to promote through those levels. The longer you sit at levels with a team who are following and watching you, the more that you will beat down on their own vision and strive. So you really need to find ways where you can actually either shift yourself, shift your mindset, up it a little bit. My wife, as I said, when she saw me demoralized in that car, didn't like how she felt, she upped her personal development tenfold. She read more books, she listened to more audio, she attended more events. She showed up huge so that she could become bigger to attract more people into the business. She did some of the most uncomfortable things that I would personally I've never have done at the time. She spoke to people that she was really scared of, and I think this is where, when you really get what you need to do and how you actually get it and how to show up bigger and how you need to be uncomfortable, you really do understand how Arbonne can go from your head to your heart, and you can really just promote and just go crazy in this business, and everything becomes so much easier, and all of a sudden the right people turn up, and all of a sudden you have somebody in your team that really wants it just like you do. Is there any surprise? Because you have shown up bigger, and because you really understand what you're a part of and the importance of you not giving up on your goals, really being clear on your vision. I'm just waffling right now, so I'm just going to end this call. But I hope some of you get some great value in this. Please leave a comment in here, share your ideas or your feedback. Guys, we are cheering you on like you wouldn't believe. We know many of you have obstacles and challenges unlike anybody else, but this is your safe place. This is a place for you to grow. This is a place for you to thrive. We want more than anything, every single one of you to just whether you're an IC, a DM, an AM, an RVP, we want you to be sitting at the end of 2019 in a better place than you were at the start of 2019. And if that's even only just from being in this community and an active part of it, then that is good enough for us, as long as it's good enough for you. But we know, quite rightly so, that every single one of you especially has the ability within you. You are already enough to become a bonus in area manager, because I can guarantee you on the other side of that, your world will look so different, and especially to your household, to your partners, the income that you'll be bringing in for yourself, to the household, will just elevate the support level, as it did with me. I've seen it happen time and time again with other men that I've spoken to in this business. It's a pivotal point in your business. So please dig deep, guys. Just know it's a 90-day game plan. It's not just 1 month or half a month, not seeing the results, so I'm just going to quit. You have to keep on going. And when you come up against that moment, maybe it's today, maybe it's in listening to this call, maybe it's the 19th of September, which you're consistently doing every single month, where you give up on your goals and dreams. It's now time to look at it differently and just say, I'm not going to give up. This is where I normally crumble. This is now where I'm going to rise. This is where I'm actually going to pick myself up, get out of blaming, justification mode, and get into massive growing activity. I know what needs to be done. I'm going to do it. I'm committed to it. I'm sharing with my team what's happening. I'm sharing with my family. I'm visualizing every single day. I'm saying my affirmations. I'm becoming a bigger person, and I will promote to that level because I deserve it. And that's where my family and myself are gonna go. So I'm gonna end on that note, guys. As I said, I'm waffling. I hope I brought value to you guys. Love you to bits, and let's smash out. And hi to the UK. You probably would have tuned in first thing in the morning when you're listening to this. And hello to my beautiful wife as well, Tamlin, who will be watching this at some stage. I cannot thank you enough for the life that you've created for me. And just to give you a snapshot, guys, we're living in our dream location in a place called Noosa, Queensland. Look it up on a map. I get to surf every single day. It's always been my dream. It's taken us, the 7 years to actually realize what our dream actually was, but we're here. And now that we're here, we just want to help as many of you who want it, who are willing to do the work, get to that place too, wherever it is for you. So thank you, Tamlin. You are a life force in my life. I'm the luckiest man in the world to have not only met you, but I've chosen you to be my wife. And just thank you for all of the belief, inspiration, energy, excitement that you bring into the success line, and for all of us and into the Arbonne community. You're just a ray of light. Love you to bits. And I will sign out. Okay, bye for now, guys.